WWE WrestleMania 41 is just a few days away. Of course, the grandest stage of them all, WWE's biggest event of the year. And over recent years, it has moved to a two-night affair, beginning on April 19th for WrestleMania Saturday and concluding on April 20th for WrestleMania Sunday. Let's focus on WrestleMania Saturday and let's discuss what big surprises could be in store for night one of WWE's biggest spectacle. We'll let you know 5 possible big surprises for WrestleMania Saturday in this countdown video. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin today's countdown video, you can see it right there. We are less than 100 subscribers away at the time recording from 21,000. The beginning of this year, the aim was just to get to 20,000 subscribers in 2025. So the fact that we're halfway through April at the time recording this video and we're at 21,000 subscribers or closing in on it is absolutely incredible. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, click that notification bell, you're notified when all the news videos, countdown videos, live streams, watch-alongs, post-shows, and everything gets uploaded to the channel. Speaking of which, you can see the sidebar right there. You can see all the upcoming watch-alongs and post-shows that we've got coming up. Of course, we've got Friday Night SmackDown, the SmackDown before WrestleMania, both nights of WrestleMania, NXT Stand and Deliver, and the Raw after WrestleMania 2. And whilst you're checking out the sidebar, you can see right there, you can scan the QR code and join the WN365 roster. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. Right, into today's countdown video, and let's discuss some possible surprises for night one, that being Saturday of WrestleMania 41. Of course, WrestleMania 41 takes place over April 19th and April 20th from Las Vegas, Nevada at Allegiant Stadium. And since the pandemic caused WrestleMania 36 to be spread across both nights, we have seen a two-nighted affair ever since. And WrestleMania Saturday does feature some notable matches. Of course, a first ever WrestleMania main event for CM Punk, several title matches and debuts on the grandest stage of them all as well. And let's talk about some possible surprises that Triple H and co could have up their sleeve when it comes to WrestleMania. Of course, the biggest event of the year usually leads to some bigger surprises of the year too. Let's begin with Jey Uso winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, you might say, oh, and this isn't really that much of a surprise, which, fair enough. I think most people expect Jey Uso to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Of course, he won the men's Royal Rumble match in early February, last eliminating John Cena, back when he was a babyface. And many people, that surprised them. And when he challenged Gunther, it surprised them even more because they said, well, he just faced Gunther. He faced Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event in January, and he lost. In fact, he's lost several World Championship matches, either against Gunther or his cousin Roman Reigns multiple times. He's never won the big one. Now, there have been criticisms of Jey Uso when it comes to his in-ring ability, his promo ability, suggesting that Jey Uso isn't popular, but his catchphrase is, yeet. It's just his entrance that is popular. People like to sing and dance when Jey Uso comes through the crowd, but when he steps between the ropes, that's when everything goes downhill. And certainly in the build to WrestleMania, some of that criticism hasn't necessarily gone away, but you could say that about a lot of matches at WrestleMania 41. The build hasn't been too great. It's felt a bit lackluster and not really felt like WrestleMania. In fairness, when it comes to this, they have stepped up this program, particularly with the angle where Gunther bloodied Jey's twin brother Jimmy on television and made Jey Uso watch while he was zip-tied to the top rope. Since then, we have seen the angle develop a little bit more. It's got a bit more personal, and you feel like maybe Jey Uso is a credible threat. But this is only going in one direction, isn't it? It feels like Jey Uso is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship. WWE is preparing to strap the rocket to Jey Uso for a variety of reasons. Jey Uso sells a ton of merch. He is one of the highest merchandise sellers in WWE. Whether it's his sunglasses, his shirts, whatever it may be, he's super popular. Speaking of that popularity, his entrance always goes viral on social media. His catchphrase continues to go viral on social media and continues to be shouted by the crowd all the time. And WWE is looking to capitalize on that. Their thought process is, well, if we make him a world champion, possibly we can make him an even bigger star. Whether or not he's a credible world champion, what his world heavyweight title reign would look like remains to be seen. But I think it looks like that Jey Uso is finally going to win the big one. And when it comes to the whole bloodline storyline and the bloodline saga, one of the aims was to elevate people involved in it, not just Roman Reigns. Certainly, Jey Uso has been a massive beneficiary of being closely associated with Roman Reigns throughout the last several years in the Bloodline storyline, and this may be the culmination of it. Now, let's move on and continuing to talk about the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Of course, at WrestleMania, Jacob Fatu will be making his WrestleMania debut when he challenges LA Knight for the WWE United States Championship on WrestleMania Saturday. Now, as far as who's going to win that one, it's very difficult to say. Of course, you've got LA Knight, who's still incredibly popular, a two-time United States champion, still gets some of the biggest reactions on the main roster, still a super over with his catchphrases, and still gets an incredible reaction. Meanwhile, you've got Jacob Fatu, who's been very carefully protected by WWE ever since he was first signed and ever since he first debuted on WWE television back in 2024. So much so that they've avoided certainly putting him in positions where he would lose, avoided having him face off with Roman Reigns in certain situations because they'd want to save it, had a few interactions with Bron Breakker that could be a future WrestleMania main event. But the storyline in this has been that at once he was the guy when certainly Solo Sikoa was the tribal chief. He would be shouting, "I love you, Solo. I love you, Solo." But it feels like Jacob Fatu has actually kind of outgrown Solo Sikoa. In fact, when Jacob Fatu debuted on the main roster, there were reports at the time suggesting that WWE realized what they had with Jacob Fatu and actually had to be quite careful because they didn't want him to overshadow Solo Sikoa, who was meant to be the person front and center at the time. Well, despite their best efforts, that's what happened. Every single time you see Jacob Fatu, whether it's between the ropes having a match, doing some things that someone of his size just shouldn't be able to do, or it's cutting a promo, people are in awe of him and say, this guy is a future world champion. And it feels like the split is coming. In the build-up to WrestleMania, we've seen Jacob Fatu get frustrated with Solo Sikoa. Sikoa getting involved in his matches. Sikoa showing doubt about it. Of course, after Solo Sikoa lost to Roman Reigns at the beginning of the year on the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw, and Roman Reigns won back the Ula Fala, he disappeared for a few weeks, Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu said, "We didn't know where you went." And it was during that time that Fatu really did step out more as a single star. So you kind of do feel like they're building towards Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. The question is it going to be a case of Jacob Fatu winning the United States Championship, and then a bit like with Randy Orton and Triple H back in 2004 being told, "You've got to hand the championship over to me," and Jacob Fatu refusing? Or is it going to be a case of Solo Sikoa costing Jacob Fatu the United States Championship? Either or, it feels like we're destined towards a Fatu and Sikoa split. Whether that happens at WrestleMania or after the grandest stage of them all, we'll have to wait and see. But it would feel like certainly a significant moment that would be perfectly in place to happen at WrestleMania 41. Chad Gable, we know, this is breaking kayfabe here, but the man under that mask is Chad Gable. The man in that ring is El Grande Americano. El Grande Americano has been going around on Monday Night Raw in recent weeks, teaming with the Creed brothers, teaming with American Made, and Chad Gable every single time has been absent. But everyone knows it's Chad Gable underneath that mask. Chad Gable was having issues with luchadors and couldn't beat luchadors. He went away on a sabbatical to Mexico, discovered the art of lucha libre, was given a mysterious case, and in that case it seems like certainly there was a mask, and suddenly El Grande Americano showed up. Now at WrestleMania, on WrestleMania Saturday, Rey Mysterio will face El Grande Americano in a match. Now you would think this is all building towards the idea that El Grande Americano is going to get a mask, revealing once and for all that it is indeed Chad Gable. Now you could see a situation where maybe they like to extend this beyond WrestleMania. Because of that, maybe El Grande Americano does indeed win at WrestleMania. Maybe he does use the loaded mask. Maybe he does use the metal plate inside his mask and defeats Rey Mysterio, and this eventually builds to a mask versus mask match. That certainly would be long-term planning, but this could be a situation where, once again, just like a WrestleMania moment, they always talk about WrestleMania moments when it comes to WrestleMania. Maybe they want to create a WrestleMania moment, and that is having El Grande Americano be unmasked on the grandest stage of them all to be finally revealed as Chad Gable. Or, like I said, they could save that for later on with El Grande Americano winning, or having a situation where maybe Gable does kind of get a mask and you see that it's him, but he still cheats anyway and wins the match, then proclaims on Raw that never happened and that's fake news and it was AI, it was altered, that kind of stuff, and eventually we do build toward that mask versus mask match, which you feel like would be a normal thing for WWE to do, and certainly a big spectacle. They're never going to unmask Rey Mysterio, but it could be a possibility, I guess. So, Chad Gable Gable getting unmasked, or Grande Americano, getting unmasked and revealed to be Chad Gable is something that would feel like a WrestleMania moment. Now, this is an interesting one because this is a bit of a curveball here. Could Bianca Belair get involved in the grudge match on WrestleMania Saturday between Jade Cargill and Naomi? Now, of course, this one does significantly involve Jade Cargill. She's involved in this feud because Jade Cargill was a women's tag team champions with Bianca Belair, but she was also very good friends with Naomi Bianca Belair. When Jade Cargill was mysteriously attacked and she was injured and written off television, she was the women's tag team champion with Bianca Belair, and Naomi replaced Jade Cargill and was the women's tag team champion with Bianca Belair. When Jade Cargill returned to Elimination Chamber, she attacked Naomi, revealing that it was Naomi who attacked her in the first place. And of course, Bianca Belair was beside herself. She went on to win the Women's Elimination Chamber and was in a different title feud with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship, which is on night 2 of WrestleMania, that being WrestleMania Sunday. But she's the common thread between the two. Now, Naomi admitted to Bianca Belair that she was the one that attacked Jade Cargill because Jade Cargill wasn't good enough for Bianca, and Bianca stormed away in tears. Tears was a highly emotional segment. So it would seem natural that she could get involved in this. Last year, she teamed with both Naomi and Jade Cargill at WrestleMania 40 in a 6-person tag team match. So her getting involved again would make a lot of sense. Now, I have a bit of a longer theory when it comes to night 2 that maybe either Naomi or Jade Cargill could get involved and could actually have Bianca Belair win the Women's World Championship. Maybe it would be Naomi, and that's how Bianca Belair turns heel. That's a thought for another time, I think. But certainly, we could see a situation where maybe Jade Cargill wins. She's beating down Naomi over and over and over again, and Bianca Belair comes out and says that's enough, it's over, and tells Jade Cargill to move on. And then on night 2, it's how Naomi helps Bianca Belair. Maybe it was a ruse the whole time. I mean, when she was asked, Jade Cargill, in an interview on SmackDown by Kathy Kelly in the build-up to this match at WrestleMania, she was asked, did you actually see Naomi attack you? And she said something really, really interesting where she said, well, I was hit from behind, fell down, and I saw Naomi walking away in the aftermath. And then you thought, well, that's not necessarily saying that she saw that it was Naomi that attacked her. She just saw that Naomi was walking away. And of course, given how things are scripted in WWE, particularly pre-tape promos, you think that that line was significant, and that line felt like a situation where it was actually a wink and a nod to the audience to say, if you're paying enough attention here, you can hear that actually it's Jade Cargill saying that she didn't see Naomi attack her, but she saw her actually be in the situation at the time, which does leave enough wiggle room for the idea that Bianca Belair could actually still be siding with Naomi and is just waiting to win the Women's World Championship first before revealing truly her true colours and her heel turn. So I suppose she could get involved somehow, some way, particularly if it's a case of Jade Cargill going to do something so devastating it would stop Naomi getting involved in night 2. We'll have to wait and see. It's certainly an interesting theory. And finally, of course, we know the main event of WrestleMania Saturday is Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Now, we know in this match, CM Punk has cashed in the favor. His favor with Paul Heyman is that Paul Heyman accompanies CM Punk to the ring, and he's in CM Punk's corner, meaning that the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, will be without his wise man. Now, this real story, whilst it initially started off with issues between the individuals, Roman Reigns had an issue with Punk, Rollins had an issue with Punk, Rollins had an issue with Reigns, and vice versa, and everywhere in between. Last few weeks, it's largely centered around Paul Heyman. It's centered around, of course, Heyman being the wise man to Roman Reigns, but Heyman being the one who got CM Punk to team with Team Roman Reigns at War Games at Survivor Series towards the end of last year, meaning that CM Punk was owed a favor from Heyman. Of course, Paul Heyman is CM Punk's best friend, and the favor was he wanted to have Paul Heyman be in his corner whilst he main evented his first ever WrestleMania. And then Seth Rollins, of course, he now says that Paul Heyman owes him a favor because he didn't stomp him into oblivion a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. So really the big question is obviously who's going to win this match, but I think that's also tied with who is Heyman going to side with? And the reality is, it could be anyone. He could turn on CM Punk, he's done it before, and truly pledge his allegiance and acknowledge his tribal chief. he could turn on Roman Reigns once and for all. Despite being in Punk's corner, he hasn't officially turned on Reigns or anything like that. He's just saying that he's just giving, accepting the favor or giving the favor that Punk asked of him and that he promised to Punk, and he's fulfilling a debt, if you will, to CM Punk because CM Punk asked for a favor. So he hasn't turned on Reigns, and he still says, you're still my tribal chief, I still acknowledge you, etc., etc., etc. And then when it comes to Rollins, he still could side with Rollins and maybe decide that both of these guys haven't treated me right. When I got put through a table at the hands of Solo Sikoa and the New Bloodline, Roman Reigns wasn't there and CM Punk wasn't there. They both used me, and Seth Rollins was right, and I'm going to side with him. Some would say they don't want to see Paul Heyman side with Seth Rollins, and that wouldn't make any sense to side with Seth Rollins, but maybe he does. Maybe that's the favor in general. The question is, who is he going to side with? And whoever he sides with, he's going to be turning on someone. Whether it be Punk, whether it be Reigns, he's turning on somebody. So the question is, who is Paul Heyman going to turn on, and who is going to win that match in the main event of WrestleMania Saturday? Let me know your predictions about that in the comment section below. But there you go, guys. There are 5 Saturday surprises for WrestleMania Night 1 on April 19th. As I mentioned at the top of this video, we are less than 100 subscribers away from 21,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-growing WNU, that being the Wrestle News universe. In addition, you can join the Wrestle News 365 roster, the WN roster, by clicking the join button. Links in the video description below. You can also scan the QR code right there on the sidebar. And you can also check out the sidebar for all upcoming watch-alongs and post-shows that we're going to have across WrestleMania week. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch the next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.